Hey everyone, this is Bo from the Mario server. I'm here to do a video on, yes, dungeons, missions, all that good stuff. Now, this is gonna be a fairly long video because I'm gonna literally go to every single dungeon in this game, but I'm not gonna actually do them because like that's gonna take like hours. So, I'm gonna do a visit on every single dungeon so you guys kinda get an idea of where to find each dungeon in Mabinogi. Not just dungeons, but I'm also gonna do shadow missions, I'm gonna do theater missions, and the last one, the raid. So, if you guys kinda start getting lost or you wanna find a specific dungeon, you know, instead of actually watch me do every single one of them, I'm gonna see if I can compile a list to the right and the left. Wait, that's the right. This is the right and the left, right here, right there, and hopefully, and edit the video and just have like a list here where you can just click on the YouTube video to see which dungeon you guys want to specifically find. Alright. Okay. Now, let's get down to the, basically, the very beginning. Now, when you guys first play Mabinogi, probably the very first dungeon you're gonna do is, Albi. And this dude right here, I think he gives, like, a really newbie pass right here. So he can give you an Albi beginner dungeon pass. That's like the very first dungeon you guys are gonna, you know, do. Dungeon wise, yeah. If you feel confident you don't want to use a beginner pass, you can always drop your own stuff. So let's get down to the very basic of what dungeons are and how do you get in. Okay, so most dungeons will look like this. They'll have a goddess statue and an altar where you're gonna have to like drop something to enter the dungeon. As you can see, when I step on the thing, it says drop any object on the altar to enter the dungeon. Now, just keep in mind that once you drop an item on there, you can't get it back. So you don't want to drop your like step 6, you know, like weapon. That's not gonna come back, and you can't be like no undo, because there is no undo in real life. Anyways, so I'm gonna drop. Let's see. What's my gold bag? You can literally drop anything. I'm gonna drop a piece of gold, a singular piece of gold. I cannot drop while I am in a part of a squad. Oh, the fail. Okay, so I'm apparently in a squad party, so I'm gonna leave that. Alright, now I'm gonna drop the gold, and I'm gonna enter. Now, how dungeons work in Mabinogi is that everybody kinda can have their own dungeon instance. Kinda. I specifically say kinda because, let's say somebody on the very same channel as I am went to the very same dungeon as I did and dropped the very same item that I dropped. They'll be able to enter the dungeon that I just, you know, made. So they can kind of like stalk me and be like, hey, Pobo, I see you in there doing dungeons. Okay, but, that's the only, thing about not actually getting your own instance. You can actually go to other people's, instance. If you don't want people to go to your own instance, try to drop something more unique. Not something rare, of course, because you can't get that back. Try dropping, I don't know, like a garbage herb or something. I'm pretty sure people won't commonly drop that. Gold, a single gold is a very common drop that people tend to give to the altar. So that is one thing about dungeons. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, that this is the very first dungeon, and it is called Albi Dungeon, and it is located right in... Can't open my map in here. least I can. It is located in Turchano. So this is the very first town that you're gonna start with, and it's gonna be this dungeon right outside. You're gonna see another room back here, and this is like the place where you don't want to go to if you're a newbie. But basically, it's like a hard mode version of Albi, and it's much more difficult than Albi itself. So if I were to go into this one, let's see where to go with that. You know, I'm gonna drop clay crystal, a single clay crystal. It's a little bit more grimmer. Excuse me. So it's a little bit harder. I'm not gonna go into depth about, you know, how the dungeons look like, what mobs are in there, and all that stuff, because this is just me showing you guys all the different dungeons. Now, not all the different dungeons will have a hard mode version. So just keep in mind that Albi does have one. So that is Albi, and it is located right behind Trefor. If I kind of like run over here, I'm pretty sure you guys will know how to get here. Just down the slope, there's a cave up there. And it's right here, Trefor's right here. You can see the map. Right there. That is Albi dungeon. Now there's two dungeons actually in Turchano. The second dungeon that you'll probably go to after Albi is CR dungeon. There is actually an easy mode pass for this dungeon, and I believe there's only an easy mode pass for 2 dungeons in this entire game. Could be wrong. But that would be Albi, of course, and CR. If you want a easy mode version of CR dungeon, just talk to this guy right here. Renault, yeah. I keep getting his name wrong. Talk to this guy right here, and he'll be like, get CR beginner dungeon pass. So you can get a pass from him, and you can go all the way to the dungeon. The dungeon is located further up. Where is it? Let me cross the bridge here. North. Am I going the wrong way? Further northeast. So I'm actually literally gonna have to go all the way around. Or I can take a. You know what? I'm gonna take a moon gate. You know what am I doing? Take a moon gate. I'm lazy. That's the great thing about moon gates, guys. Alright, so I'm gonna take the moon gate to CR dungeon. It's gonna teleport me over here. And it's right over here, right in that very corner of the map. If you can see me right there. And this is CR dungeon. Right, so CR dungeon pretty much looks like this. It's also got a statue and everything. And basically same thing, you drop an item. And they even have a hard mode version too. So you go in here, same thing, hard mode version of CR dungeon. Now before I go further towards the other dungeons, I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna see something like this. Like, what is that? What is this ranking thing? This is basically a boss trial dungeon, and if you finish the dungeon within X amount of time, and you're like one of the fastest ones, your name will just be like right here. So that is just for, you know, showing off purposes that you can finish a boss trial. And that's basically all, I believe, all the bosses of CR dungeon difficulties. Same thing for Albi, I believe. Actually, I don't know if Albi has one. Let me check. I think it was CR and Rundal. But anyways, that is basically what that thing is. If you see it there. Okay, so here's CR dungeon. Let's go on to the next dungeon. I'm gonna pretty much do this all fairly quick because I need to be able to go to like all the dungeons, and there's quite a bit. Now let's see, what would be the next dungeon people will go to? I believe the next dungeon will be in Dunbarton, because the second town that people tend to go to after Turchano is Dunbarton. So let's vamonos. Dunbarton is way down here, but I'm not even gonna go to Dunbarton. I'm just gonna go straight to the dungeon. So I would say it's either Rabby or Math. Maybe Math first, just because it's 2 floors. Rabby has 3, but you know they're both fairly the same in terms of difficulty, I believe. So the dungeons are located northwest and northeast of Dunbarton. You'll see Dunbarton's town right there. Dungeons over here, on the left or on the right. So on the one on the left, where I am right now, is Rabby Dungeon. And it looks like this. Same thing, it's got an altar and everything, but it doesn't have a hard mode difficulty. See, there's like nothing right here. Nothing as of yet. So it's basically much more harder, I believe, than the previous 2, of course. But each dungeon has their own difficulty, has their own like ups and downs to it. So I encourage everyone to try every single one. Yeah, like literally every single one of them. It's fun. If you're doing skills like Transformation Mastery, Transformation Mastery, yeah, Transformation Mastery, you're gonna end up going to all these dungeons anyways. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Alright, so that's Rabby Dungeon. The Math Dungeon is on the opposite side. So I'm just gonna go zoom to Math. And it's literally like the twin brother or sister of Rabby. So you can see it's like the same thing, kind of like a broken little hut. You enter and it looks literally almost the same. It's this is Math. This is Math Dungeon. No hard mode version. Okay. Now let's see. I believe the next dungeon that people will go to would be in Bangor. With the third spot. Okay. Or maybe Fjord. Fjord or Bangor? Maybe Fjord. Okay, let's just strictly just go down the list. If you're traveling from Tyr, going down Dugald Isle to Dunbarton, and then your next stop would be Fjord on this side right here on your way to Bangor. I'm gonna go jump to Fjord Dungeon. I'm actually gonna go enter Fjord Dungeon so I can show you guys the difference between this dungeon and some others. But Fjord Dungeon, let's say, it's right here in the outskirts of Senmag. Wait, no, the entrance of Senmag 2, out of Dunbarton from the south. So if you go down here, you'll see Fjord Dungeon right up here, and then I can't zoom out of this map more, but down towards that way, towards south, is Bangor. So Fjord Dungeon, I actually like Fjord Dungeon, or types of dungeons like Fjord Dungeon, but at the same time I loathe them, because it's an outdoor dungeon, and basically how it looks like is like you're actually outside, but you're really inside. So let me just drop it in there, and you can see for yourself that the dungeon is a little bit more, you know, pretty. It's an outdoor dungeon. So that is Fjord Dungeon. I'm not gonna actually do the dungeon, I'm just showing you guys how it looks like. And it's the same thing, you drop an item for the altar, and then you enter. There is no hard mode difficulty version, though this door looks rather suspicious. Whoa, where am I going? Whoa, what is this? Whoa, a new place? Can't go further. Okay. Anyways, well, that was kind of weird. So that is Fjord Dungeon. And I believe the next one would be in Bangor. Bangor also has its nice uniqueness dungeon to it. Find the moon gate. Where's the moon gate? Oh, there it is. It's all the way down here. let's enter from here. Alright, so Mangor is kind of like a little mining town kind of area. And you'll see that the dungeon is actually within the town itself. So if you go into here, this little place right here next to the water mill thing, you'll see the dungeon looks like this. And it actually looks rather nice inside, so if I were to drop something inside and go in, you'll see it's like going down an underground tunnel, mine shaft. So that is basically Bangor Bari dungeon. Sorry, I did not call it Bangor dungeon. It is Bari. The dungeon is called Bari. Get out of here. Wait. Okay, that is how you have to get out. Or you can just CC. Remember, if you in a dungeon and you decide to for some reason change channels, but you actually didn't want to leave the dungeon, don't change channels, because you actually will leave the dungeon if you change channels. Okay, so that is Bangor. I mean Bari dungeon. And I believe the next dungeon, I believe it would be, I'm debating if it's either a main Rundle dungeon or they're both the same. So I'm just gonna go there. Pretty much to make it simple, almost every single town area has a dungeon near it. The only towns that probably won't have a dungeon, kind of, is Port Cobb. Okay. So the next town I'm gonna go to is the main matcha, right over here, and it's got Coil Dungeon and Rundle. Where is it? Rundle. Somewhere. Rundle somewhere down here. So I'm gonna jump to Coil first. Coil and Rundle, I feel like they're both same in terms of like difficulty, but maybe Rundle's a little bit easier. Oh, where am I going? Coil Dungeon is right here. If you go the northwest, yeah, northwest of the main matcha, you'll see Coil Dungeon, and it's near the Yabneg housing entrance. So it's right here. I'm gonna enter here, and it's the same thing like Fjord. It's like a very grassy, outdoory kind of dungeon. There is no hard mode. There's just a suspicious door here. So maybe, who knows, they might release some sort of hard mode difficulty in the future. One thing I want to mention about Coil is that it's got a special pass to it called Coil Abyss. There's only two, at the moment there's only 2 Abyss dungeons, and it is Pika and Coil. And Coil has a Abyss pass that you can obtain and enter this dungeon, and you're gonna have to fight like a really super insanely hard boss. And you can only solo. So that is a Coil, just so you guys know where Coil is. And the next stop would be Rundle. I believe I'll just go. This is the closer one. Oh, that lag. Okay. So I'm still in the main matcha, but more towards the bottom now. So now I'm at the southeast side of the main matcha, right here. You see it's like right when you cross this little bridge, and from the moon gate, and you go to the right, you'll see in main matcha, the road going to main matcha's Rundle dungeon. Whoop, whoop. Oh, got a text. Okay, so I was right. Rundle Dungeon also has a boss trial thing. Not all dungeons have boss trial. Not all dungeons have hard mode, but it appears that Rundle has a hard mode. So you can see right here, Rundle does have a hard mode. It looks kind of creepy around all the mobs. Never noticed that. Scary, so scary. But that is a Rundle dungeon. I really like how the water is like this on the dungeon. It's just like just me. Like I love the decor of this game. So here's a Rundle dungeon, and it actually looks pretty nice too. You know, I want to actually show you guys how it looks like. Oh, glowy. And then you'll see that it's like really an out. It's still underground, but it's like some sort of like underground subway, what do you call it? Water thing. It's so pretty. It's like, what is this? But this is the dungeon right here. You kind of see the. I like how we can see the rooms in advance in a way. So that is pretty neat. Yeah. So that is Rundle. Get out of here. I apologize in advance that I did not show the other dungeons, like Sierra Dungeon and Rabbi and Math. But those dungeons, they all look pretty nice too. They look like, you know, like you're in a dungeon. I don't know how to describe how they look like, but I just wanted to show the other ones because they look somewhat different. Alright, we'll go back to the Moon Gate, and I'm gonna go to the next dungeon, which I believe. What did I miss? I hope I don't miss any dungeons. I know there's nothing in Portion. Wait. Okay. I believe the final dungeon here would be Pega. I gotta make sure that is the last one that I didn't miss any. Okay, let's see. There's Albie, Bari, Sierra, Fiode, Coil, got that. Math is done. Rabbi, Rundle's done. Okay, Pika. So the very, very last dungeon you'll probably go to is Pika. Where is it? I know it's in... There it is. Pika is in Senmag Plateaus. Plateau. I don't know how to pronounce it. In this area where Fleta usually spawns. Click on it again. You'll see right here. It's right there. Senmag Plains. Oops. Senmag Plains. Okay. And it's right to the northwest, and it looks like an underground tombstone. It's kind of creepy. Alright. Now, for those who are kind of new to Mabi, Pika actually was a really super restricted dungeon to the point that you couldn't enter this dungeon unless you have a minimum of, I believe it was 4 people. Otherwise, basically they didn't want to risk responsibility of, you know, people dying in here because, you know, they didn't know that this was a really hard dungeon. But Pika should be the quote-unquote hardest dungeon specifically in this game. So for now. So if I were to, but right now they changed it, so they removed that restriction, and I should be able to enter solo. Yep, should be able to enter solo. And it is an underground dungeon. It's like a tomb. It's like a full tomb place. Yeah. So this is how Pika looks like. It's pretty grim, pretty scary, and it's pretty darn long. And this will be should be the last quote-unquote dungeon you would go to. Now let me get out of here. Oh, right. Since I did not get to show you guys Rebby, I'm gonna jump over to Rebby Dungeon and show you guys one thing I forgot to mention. Where's Rebby? Okay, backpedaling. One thing I forgot to mention about dungeons is that after you go into the dungeon, to exit you have to click the statue that you to properly exit you have to click the statue that you see in the beginning upon entry. And then once you go down to the first floor, first thing you're gonna see is another goddess statue, and basically what the statue is a save point. So you click on the statue, and then it'll say you have memorized this location. Each time you go to a new floor, you're gonna get a new save point. So it's always good to click on the statue. Just in case you die, this will be the spot where you res. If you didn't click on it, you're gonna end up resing at, like, you're gonna have no choice but to res in town, which therefore forfeits your entire dungeon, and it's a waste of time. Or if you saved at the first floor, but then you got down to, I don't know, the fourth floor, and then you didn't save at the fourth floor and you died, you're gonna end up resing back all the way at the first floor, and you have to go all the way back up to the fourth floor. So it's like, always remember to save your location if you can. Certain dungeons, like Al Bay in Turnanog, won't let you have a save point. Like, I'm not talking about the first dungeon. There's a different dungeon called Al Bay, not Al B. And it actually won't have a goddess statue, so it's actually one of the harder ones, and you're gonna run into it for mainstream quests and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna explain too much about that dungeon because it's gonna be kind of a spoiler to those who haven't gotten there yet. But just know that there's another dungeon that's a very imitation of Albi, and you can't save. So that means you can't die. I mean, you could die, but somebody will have to res you. Now the next step in dungeons is you have to basically how a dungeon goes is you just kind of kill whatever is inside that spawns, and they're gonna drop some loots and all that stuff, like gold. You can pick it up, you can leave it alone. It's up to you, however you want to do it. They're gonna drop some materials you might need for crafting, but most importantly, they're gonna drop a dungeon key. And what that dungeon key is for is to unlock other doors in the dungeon. So right now this door is fine. Basically, to summon the mobs into this room, I gotta open the door again, and then kill, get my key, get my gold, all this good stuff. Now it's always important to pick up the key, just because if you don't pick up the key, you're actually gonna literally have to run all the way back and find it. So, because you can't progress into the dungeon without the key. So then, I'm gonna skip this and see if there's this. So there's a key door. You can see that it's locked. It needs an orange key because the lock on it is orange. Do I have an orange key? I do not. I have a blue key. I have a red key. So, I mean, that's not red, that's green. I have a blue key, I have a green key. I don't have a orange one, so most likely this room right here is going to give me an orange one. So as you can see, I can't skip rooms. I have to actually do rooms. Yeah, that's OP. So there's my key. I'm gonna get, wow, deadly. Wow. Monster rat, okay. And that is basically how this dungeon works. It's like once you get the color key, oop, I can open the next door. Now, if you're gonna do a dungeon with a group of people, don't AFK with a key in your bag. I mean, I've seen that happen so many times, and it's really annoying because people will just have to wait for you to come back in order to get to the next room, and either that or you can just end up being like trolly, and then they'll be like, "Who has the key? I don't have the key. Who has the key? I don't have the key." And then you're the one that had the key this whole time, and then everyone just like starts throwing tomatoes at you. So yeah, that's that. You're also gonna get rooms like this, and these are the 4 room orbs. Basically, one of these orbs is gonna open this door. The other 3 is going to spawn mobs. Now, if you have things like a Yui doll, like, where is it? Where's my Yui doll? Oh, I lost my Yui. No! Oh, there she is. If you have a Yui doll, the one I have here on me equipped, you can see over there that orb is sparkling. It's telling me that that's the correct orb to hit. Now, back in the days, they didn't have that, available, so we just kind of had to blindly hit orbs, or we can just have 4 people at each orb and then hit all of them and then run. if you're doing a really hard dungeon and you don't want to fight the mobs. But now they have this convenient little doll that tells you which one is the correct orb. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the wrong orb, so you kind of get to see what happens. So that is what happens. Mobs spawn, and then you have to kill them. And then if you try to hit that same orb again, nothing happens because you already hit it. So it's like, hey, stop hitting me, you already hit me. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the correct orb, and it's gonna, boom, it's gonna open the door. And that's basically it. There's also other things like mobs that look suspicious like this. Bunch of mimics. And one of these mimics are gonna have a key. So I'm gonna go ahead and windmill, and voila, they're all dead except for one, and that one's obviously the one with the key. So that is basically another part of the dungeon you would have to do. Don't ignore these mimics. You gotta kill them, or you gotta open the correct box. And then once you get to the end, you're gonna see a you're gonna get a boss key that looks like a big Bowser red key. That's what I like to call it. And it opens the boss room, and that is basically what a dungeon is. I'll go ahead and CC so I can get out of here quickly. Hopefully, I might get dungeon penalty, but oh well. And that's the easiest way to jump out of the dungeon without having to go all the way back to the very beginning. Okay, so that is my brief explanation about dungeons, and you guys already seen all the dungeons that I ran down the list with. I did Albi, I did Ciar, I did Fjord, Bari, Math, Rabi, Pika, Rundle. So those are all the dungeons in Mabi for now. Now there's another type of dungeon that's also in the Yulad continent, and they are called castle dungeons. Or, yeah, they're called castle dungeons. So I'm going to go ahead and go to one of them, and I'm going to have to pray that, it's available. Okay. Oh, hey, a torch shield. Okay, anyways. A castle dungeon is basically there's a castle dungeon basically in each housing area. So I'm gonna go, I'm gonna search for like a die or something. Go jump to any housing right now. And I'm not gonna go to each and every one of them because they're all pretty much almost the same. Maybe some of them have different mobs, and I don't remember actually, but if you look and you actually go to the housing area. Right now I went to Senmag's housing area. And you'll see right here there's like an entrance here that says Senmag Castle. So I'm gonna go all the way over there, and I'm gonna pray that the castle is available for entry. Because how the castle dungeons work is whoever owns the housing area, like a specific guild that pretty much bought out this entire housing area, is the one that controls the dungeon. They can make it private for themselves only. They can make it so that you have to pay for a pass. They can put how much you have to pay for the pass, but you still have to actually have a pass in order to enter this dungeon because it's their dungeon. And of course, if you've seen how housing works, oops, I forgot to get the pass. How housing works, it doesn't last forever. So eventually, this is gonna expire for the guild owners, and then another bunch of people will have to bid on it again, and yeah. So you're not gonna have to worry that like once a guild owns it, they don't own it forever, you know, and then you'll be stuck with like, oh, I can never do this dungeon because they never opened a dungeon for me. Anyways, we're in Senmag, Senmag housing? Yeah, I guess. Senmag Castle Dungeon. And in order to go to the Castle Dungeon, you have to talk to this guy right here, the Royal Guard. Hello, Royal Guard. And you have to buy a pass from him. And, wait, how much did he say the pass was? I just bought it blindly. Oh, it's 1,000 gold per pass. So that's pretty good, you know, it's like, it's at the base cost, I believe. Or maybe there might have been some free ones, but yeah, 1,000 not that bad. So after you get the pass, you enter from this little hole, enter this little hole right here. And it's literally almost the same like a dungeon, except it's like, she's high up there. The altar's a little different. The only thing is that you cannot drop any item to enter. So if I were to drop this in there, nothing's gonna happen. It would say, you may only enter dungeon by placing the Senmag Castle Dungeon Pass here. So that's the only downside, is that if you don't have the pass, then you can't enter this dungeon. And if the guild owners of the housing area decide to make it private for themselves only, then unfortunately you won't be able to enter the dungeon at all until they make it available for others. So I have the dungeon pass here. I'm going to drop it in there, and then you'll see it's a pretty nice looking dungeon. You know, it's like, since I just spent 1,000 gold on it, let's just like look at it for a bit. Oh, that was my Yui doll. So this is the Senmag Castle Dungeon. Same thing, statue, first room, click it to memorize the location, and you just basically kill things in here. Same thing like any other dungeon. Huzzah. Mobs are different though. Every single dungeon, the mobs will be different. So just know that you're not always gonna be fighting the same things in each castle dungeon. It's gonna be different for other castle dungeons. I'm not gonna go to the other castle dungeons just because they're all the same. Like they're literally the same. Where you have to go into the dungeon, get a pass, go into here, and they look almost just like this too. So, but I'll tell you how many there are. Let me exit out of here. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so we have Senmag, and then we have let's see, there's 3 residential areas right here. You can see Senmag residential area, and then show right here Senmag Castle. That is one dungeon right here where I'm standing. And then up here you'll see Abneg residential area, and to the upper left you'll see Abneg Castle, and that's another one. That's one more castle dungeon. And then the 3rd residential area is Colon residential area up here, right near Churchonal. And it is what do you call it? It also has its own castle dungeon called Colon Castle Dungeon. So there's a total of 3 castle dungeons for each 3 residential housing areas. And some people are not familiar with the housing stuff, so I might actually do a video about that later next week or so. But there are 3 residential housing areas, and therefore there are 3 dungeons. And they all look like this, like literally, they all look the same. So they probably have different mobs and stuff. Okay. So let me just exit out of here. Claustrophobic. Ugh. So those are all the dungeons now in Yulad. Specifically dungeons. There are also let's see. I don't know if I'm going to go into in depth with the other dungeons that are not in Yulad. So, like things like Tananog, I probably won't do that just because it's a mainstream thing. But you can still go to it regardless. It is a dungeon that's in the other world, and I can't get there because I don't have a pass. So it's too much of an explanation for me to show you guys how to get there. But if you were to actually do your mainstream from the very beginning, eventually you're going to get there, and then if you can save, you know, the location or just get a pass and go through Bari, you'll be able to get to the other world again and do the dungeon. Yeah, but I'm not going to do that one. Alright, so the next dungeon, or they're not called dungeons, but the next topic in terms of dungeon related stuff are missions. First missions I'm going to enter right now. Let me get out of here actually. Oh darn it. I need to go all the way back up there. First missions I'm going to show you guys is called shadow missions. This is something that I kind of mention a lot, like so many times in my 101 videos. And shadow missions are very common for most players now. They're basically missions that people can do for their daily quest. Alright. Now there are two shadow mission boards, and they are located in Taltine and Tara. Probably the first place you'll go to is Taltine, so I'm going to go ahead and go straight to the shadow mission. Alright, so now we're in Taltine. So open my map a little bit more. You'll see the town's right there, and then towards the upper left, if you just follow this road going up here, you'll see a little Stonehenge, and that is basically where all shadow missions are at. Now there's a difference between these shadow missions and dungeons. Dungeons, you drop things at the altar to enter. Shadow missions, you don't. For shadow missions, you grab the mission on the board. Like, let's say I want to do this mission at basic difficulty, or I want to do it on int difficulty, or I want to do it on advanced, hard mode, and elite. Elite, you can only do if you have an elite pass for that dungeon, or I mean mission. If you don't have an elite, the only hardest one you could do is hard, without having to get a pass. These actually don't cost you anything. You don't have to spend any gold or anything like that to get these missions off the board. You can just grab them freely, and voila, once you grab them, you can enter. Once you have the mission in hand, all you gotta do is just click the altar, and then it says, do you want to wish to enter the Shadow Realm? You just press OK. But unfortunately, because I don't have a mission on me, it would just be like, oh, you can only enter Shadow Realm when you are on a Shadow quest. So yeah, you do have to actually grab the mission before you enter. And everyone who joins you on the mission will have to be on this altar right here. Same thing for dungeons. If you're doing a dungeon with someone, they all have to be standing on the altar. Otherwise, if you're standing off the altar, they won't get in. Okay, so that is Taltine. The next location that I'm going to go to is Tara, and that is the second place where there is a shadow mission board. Alright, Tara, right over here. Tara will be the most annoying to load, just FYI. Alright, so now I'm in Tara on the upper left of Tara, if I were to open my map, it's my map, it's close to, you'll see the entire town of Tara right here. If you go over here to this side right here, you'll see a little Stonehenge right there. And this is the Tara Shadow Mission altar. Yeah. The board is right here. You click on it, and you can grab a mission. Basically, there are a lot of missions here, so you have a lot of different types of shadow missions you can do. Shadow missions are different from dungeons because they're all outdoors, and you don't have to actually get a key to do the to quote unquote progress. You do have to kill the enemies though, so you'll have to hit an orb, kill the enemies that spawn, and then continue from there. Or like each missions are actually very different. I can't really explain how to do all the shadow missions because some of them require you to do, like Doran's request will require you to do synthesis, and other missions will require you to it's mostly just kill things, but some will require you to hit things in a circle, like kill within a circle. Yeah. So you just have to do the missions yourself and see how they are. I'm gonna try to do all the missions and make a playlist or something. Oh my god, that clock is loud. Yeah. But this is basically the Tara Stonehenge, and that is the second place where you can do shadow missions. Now I'm gonna do one more dungeon here, which most people don't notice that much, but it is called the Cooking Dungeon. The Cooking Dungeon is actually located within Wrath Royal Castle. You have to enter from Tara. Oh god, that loading time. Okay. And it is on the lower floor, so I'm gonna go inside. Go ahead and do that. The cooking dungeon is for those who are working on their cooking skill. They will have to do the cooking dungeon if they want to rank up their cooking, to get some of those token thingamajiggers to buy the book. And the cooking dungeon is not like an actual dungeon, but it is like it is more like you gotta kill all these ingredients into a pot, and don't kill the rat in the pot, and hit the spoon or fork, I mean, at a certain time, and you get a grade level on your recipe, and you can redeem that thing in for some token. I'm not gonna go into depth about this dungeon, but I will do a video, like I said, of all the dungeons if possible later on, in some time. Alright, so this is Gluis, and in order to go to the cooking dungeon, you have to talk to Gluis, and then be like, yo, shop, and he'll be selling you all these like recipes, and then you have to buy one of them to enter. Now, unfortunately, you have to be a certain cooking rank to do some of these. So, like this one says, if your cooking rank is F or higher, you can enter the cooking dungeon, and then so on. This one says, if your cooking rank is 8 or higher, you can enter the kitchen dungeon. Oh, this is called kitchen dungeon, not cooking dungeon. My bad. Alright, and after you got your pass, you just click on this little thing, and then the pass should show up right here, and then you can enter that way. You actually don't offer it any gold, you don't offer it your own items, or, you actually have to use a pass, just like the castle dungeon. Alright, so this is the kitchen dungeon. Sorry, I've been calling it cooking dungeon. Alright, so right now I've already done dungeons, I've already done castle dungeons, I've already done kitchen dungeons, I've already done shadow missions. Now, this is not the last one on the list, but the next one on the list is actually dungeons outside of Yolad. And here we go. Let's go. So I'm gonna actually have to contour. Let's see. I can't. Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave Eulot. I'm gonna go to Iria, and that is a completely new continent. And there are just a bit of different dungeons there. The only dungeon I cannot show you guys in Iria here is the Treasure Hunter dungeon. That is because you actually have to be a Treasure Hunter talent in order to enter the Treasure Hunter dungeon. Now, if you are a Treasure Hunter, basically you just have to have an L-Rod, and then once you find something, it'll say like, "Oh, discover dungeon," and then you can enter it. And it's a fairly simple dungeon. I think I had a video of it somewhere, but I could be wrong. In one of my videos about the new Treasure Hunter stuff. Go ahead and check it out. Alright, so first dungeon that I want to go to, most likely in in Iria, is Mice Brewery. Mice Dungeon. Now the dungeons in Iria are kind of different from the ones in Yulad. They aren't always at the same spot. So I'm going to open my map. I'm not going to say where they are always, but usually the Mice dungeon is like around up here. Oh, I was wrong. It's all the way down there. It's around this area. The reason why it's different in location all the time, because it resets. The location of the dungeons will always reset. I believe Thursday, but I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. Oh my god. But it will reset weekly, I believe. And the location will be based on whoever finds it first. Okay, so you can see it's this little hole in the ground. Doop. And if you actually do find the dungeon with an L-Rod, or even if you use your goddess Awakening of Light near it, you will obtain a permanent title. So I'm going to type here. There it is. You'll get a title here. This one's called The One Who Discovered Mice, I believe. Something. And you get a title, which is it's alright. I'm going to enter this dungeon. Alright. So, in this dungeon, I could just drop, like, I believe I can just offer it stuff. Whoop. There you go. And it's the same thing. It's just like a regular dungeon. It looks slightly different. It doesn't have a goddess statue, of course. It's a little brick thingy, but it still does the same purpose as like saving location. And it's the same thing like any other dungeon. Just go in and kill stuff. I do like the music though, it's amazing. It's fairly, I believe it's fairly easy, but you know, there's some areas that can be difficult. Oh! Same thing, you'll have a key. So it's very similar to dungeons. It's more similar to dungeons more than missions. So just keep that in mind. Okay, it's out of here. So this one, it was Maz. Whoops. Did I go back down? Yes, I did. Yeah, this is not goddess statue. It's like some kind of weird artifact. Okay. And then the next one that you also have to find as well is right there, Karu Forest. Where is... Basically, you'll see this little dungeon icon on the map right there. You see a little hut. That is basically where the dungeon is located. That's probably the easier way to find it on the map than to just like go to this area blindly. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and go to Karu. And same thing like Karu, it's not a permanent location, but it's always gonna be around that area. Oops. Oops, right there. Yes, it's always going to be around that area. Oh my god, trees in my way. Trees in my face. That lag. So much lag. Okay. Karu dungeon entrance actually is like a tree. It'll look like this. It's easier just to see the little door thingy. And it's pretty much the same like Mai's. Same thing. You enter, offer it any item, and so on. Now the difference between Karu dungeon, Mai's dungeon, than the other dungeons is that they all have like a specific dungeon that you can kind of like branch off into. So if I were to go into Karu dungeon and I were to get a drop, like a what do you call it? A drop from a spider, and I get a pot, and I craft a pot-belly spider out of it. Kind of hard for me to explain because I don't have it in front of me. But I can drop that potbelly spider artifact in as a pass, and then I get like a glowing one later, you know, from the boss, and that's something that's probably going to be needed for those who do transformation mastery. Let's see, transformation. Yeah, some of them will require you to get certain glowing ones, which as you can see, I think that's so hard, so annoying. A glowing one, and that requires you to actually do these dungeons several times. So that is for that. The next dungeon in area that I'm going to go to is Longa? Longa, yes. Where is the Manatee? Huza. So there's Karu, there's Mai's. The next one I'm going to go to is Longa. Oh my god, much like. Longa is actually a very easy dungeon. I would like say it's like Sierra, but not really. Maybe harder than Sierra. Okay, where is it? Longa dungeon is near the Philia town, which is basically where the elves town is, and again, it is like gonna have a little icon like this in the ground, and it needs to be discovered by a player. And voila, you'll see. This is the entrance of the area. Same thing, you offer an item right on the entrance. This is the altar, basically. It looks a little bit different, but you know, same concept. And I just want to show you guys the inside of it. It's pretty nice, actually. Let's drop the clay crystal in there. Downstairs. It's really nice. It's like underground sand tomb. So this is basically Longa dungeon. Nope, nope, I want to get out of here. Let's see, oh, I have to click this thing right here to get out. Oops. Okay. The next one on my list to show you guys is Par ruins. Par. Where is it? It is in the snowy area. I don't have a gate going there. Okay. Let's just go this way. Okay. So Per Ruins is all the way near the giant area town vaults. And it is located right up there, I believe. No, it's over here. There it is. You can see it on my map. Oh, there's a house in my way. The nice, beautiful, snowy area of falls. Whoop. Houses. Wait, did I pass it? Oh no, it's right there. Par Ruins, right there. I thought I had a Manaton. Always remember to save your tunnels. Okay. So here's Par Ruins. Looks pretty darn nice, the entrance. Look at that. And it's an icy wonderland. Go ahead and enter this dungeon. Throw in another clay crystal. And it looks like this. It's pretty nice. Save spot again. And voila. It's like a little icy place. Pretty nice. I like the decor. So, not all dungeons in Mabinogi are gonna be the same. They're all gonna have, like, you know, their own different look to it. It's really nice. They really take the time to, yeah. That's the thing you have to click on to get out. They really take the time to, you know, decorate everything. So those are the 4 dungeons that you're gonna be able to find in Iria, the other continent besides Yolad. And I didn't show you guys the treasure dungeon because I can't, but you can just go to my treasure hunter video update thingy. And I think that's all the dungeons there are in Iria. I don't think there's anything else, but let me know if I'm missing one. I'm pretty sure I mentioned all of them. Karu, sorry, Maze, Longa, and Par. And there's that treasure hunter dungeon. Alright. I know you guys are like, oh my gosh, is that all of them now? Are you done? No, I'm not done yet before I start to lose my voice. I'm going down to the very last type of dungeon or mission there is on Mabinogi, and it is called Theater Missions. So if you have an Avon Feather, which you will eventually get once you get to a certain mainstream point, which I won't mention because that's a spoiler, you can use an Avon mission and you can enter and go to Avon. Now for Avon missions, you actually cannot choose specifically like what pass you want to get for this mission. In order to get a pass, you need to get pages, play pages, and they look like this. Faded play pages is the easiest one, and then you got bronze, which is a little bit harder, and then you got silver, which is more harder, and then gold, which is the hardest. Those are basically difficulty terms here. Now, oh my god, all that flapping is so noisy. Let's see that sound. And in order to get play pages, you actually have to share the paper sheet. Oh my god. Apparently I'm not sharing, I'm smacking. This is not called animal abuse. Wait, stop moving, god. I'm just giving you a little, you know, pat on the back. Ideally, you want to use a, and then there you go, they drop play pages. Ideally, you want to use a, gathering knife with gathering speed to make it faster, or you can use any sword, any sharp object. Or you can be like these people over there, and then what they do is they sit over here, and then they fish, and you have a chance of fishing out like play pages. Or you can end up fishing out like a rosemary glove pattern, which in the end you can craft and then make a glove that lets you have the power to pull out the sword from the ground. Fortunately, I can't pull it out without the gloves, because if I do, it's going to be like It's gonna burn me like tissa. Ouch. Can't do it. Alright, so that is Avon here. And then to make the passes, you have to go to this little thingy right here. And then you basically put in the pages. Luck is what determines your success rate for this, and it caps at a certain point, so you won't always get like you won't get 99% or whatever on hard mode. So I believe this is like the cap that I can get in terms of luck. I'm not sure. But I'm gonna go ahead and you only need 5, sorry. Oh no, I'm starting to lose my voice. You need 5 pages. And then just click start, and it'll start making you shadow play page. Hopefully success. Yeah, alright, success. So when it's a success, you get a play page, I mean a pass, and they do expire. They don't stay, you can't use them forever. And they take up a lot of space, so that's kind of annoying. I'm not gonna show all the theater missions because that's another thing I would do. But I will tell you that there are a total of, let's see, 4 theater missions, but 5 if you include martial arts. Now the one pass that you can guarantee get is from Marlowe, and it is the martial arts pass. It's the one that most people tend to do for leveling quickly. But it's pretty hard too. And once you get the pass from him, it's a pass for round 1. And once you complete round 1, you'll get a pass for round 2. Once you complete round 2, you get a pass for round 3, and so on to get to the very final. If you don't finish the run, you unfortunately do not get passed to the next round. So that is one thing to keep in mind, is that once you all die in one round, you cannot redo. You would have to start back at round 1. Unless somebody else had the pass. Okay, so I have a pass now, and if I go over to the Globe Theater right here, and I click on it, you'll see that Warden of the Gods here shows up for me because I have the pass for it. And that's basically what you do. It's just that you just craft pages, or you buy it from Marlowe, buy the martial arts one from Marlowe, and then you get the pass to go into the Global Theater. And it kind of looks nice. I'm going to enter this one just to show you guys how it looks like. It actually doesn't look like a dungeon or a shadow mission. It's very unique. It looks like an actual, like a play, like you're on stage. You're in a play or something. But you're actually going to have to fight enemies here. So, yeah, and they spawn. So that is the neat thing about this dungeon, is that it's like, you know, I mean, unique thing about Mabinogi is like they have many different types of like raids, dungeons, and stuff like that. Oh, I'm dying. Huzzah! And voila! And then more mobs are gonna spawn. Oh, I'm getting poisoned. There you go. And it's the same thing like any other dungeon or shadow mission. To kill enemies to progress onto the next scene, I guess. But you don't have to get any key or anything like that. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and exit. I'm not gonna complete this whole thing. That's for another day. But that is what a theater mission is. It's basically, it makes it look like you're doing a play. kind of neat. Unfortunately, like I said, the only pass that you can guarantee getting is the martial arts one from Marlowe. If you want to do another certain theater mission, you actually have to cross your fingers and hope you get the pass you want. Because when you craft a pass, it'll give you a random pass out of the 4 missions. And the 4 missions are the New King's Request, Guardian of Avon, Fortimbrous Expedition, and Warden of the Gods. There's only 4 shadow missions that you can do, technically, for now, in Avon. Woo! That was, like, tiring, guys. I think I spoke literally for, like, over an hour right now. I don't even know how I'm gonna edit this video. But anyways, you guys seen pretty much all of the dungeons in Mabinogi now. You guys seen all the shadow missions. Well, not all the shadow missions, but just where you can get to it. You guys seen the kitchen one. You guys seen areas dungeons, and now you've seen the theater missions dungeons. Now I know that I said that was the last one, but there's actually one more dungeon technically, but not really. It's not really a dungeon, and it's the raid. It's the newest one. I mean raids in general. It is the newest one. There's a newest one and there's like an older one. So let me just see if I can I caught one up there? Nope, I can't. Okay. Let's see if I can use my feather again. You actually have to use your feather to get out of here. You have a cooldown of 5 minutes, so you can't really spam that thing. Alright, so where am I? Where am I? Oh, I'm in walls. Can I contour? Yes, I can. Yes. Alright. Now there are... For now, there are many different types of raids on Mabinogi. So I can't really go... I probably will make its own video later about it. But for now, I'm just gonna show you the 3 main ones. Cause there's like things called... There's like random boss spawns at certain days, weeks, or times on Mabby or real day, and they're considered a raid, but I wouldn't consider them a raid. They're not raids. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. But the real raids would be the White Dragon, Black Dragon, and Gurgashi. So to get to the White Dragon, you can talk to, or I mean the White or Black Dragon. You can talk to this guy right here, and it's not just this guy. There's plenty of other messengers that will take you to the Black Dragon. I believe there's one in Tara as well, near the Shadow Mission board. You can either go to Black Dragon, click on this to go to Black Dragon, or go to a White Dragon. And there are some situations where players would actually buy Dragon Scrolls, Black Dragon Scrolls, White Dragon Scrolls to summon the dragon. Yeah, so you can go to a summoned one as well. Whew! Alright, next one. Last one. I swear it's the last one. Last one is the easiest one of all, and is or most common one of all, and it is the Gurgashi raid. I'm gonna go ahead and go blah, 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 create a squad right now. And to get to the Gurgashi raid, the quickest way is just to make a squad party and then enter it by clicking move, and it'll take you directly to Emain Matcha. There's also a neat way to travel really quickly to a certain location, to Emain if you needed to. Or if you didn't do like if you needed a Con Warp. But actually I don't think you can use it after you use Con Warp. Whew, okay, so I am in the raid area, and the raid area here is for Gurgashi. And basically, in order to enter it, you have to click on this little signy thing here, and you can either, oops, hold on, let me quit my party. You can click on this, you can enter as a solo like this, or right now it says solo just because I didn't have a party. If I made a party, create a party, close this, click on this thing, and then I enter, I click on raid list. I can choose a difficulty, click on Gurgashi. I can choose a difficulty, easy, normal, or hard, and then say choose hard and accept mission, and I click on this and I go to enter raid. I'll enter the hard mode of Gurgashi. So that is the other raid. It is right in the outskirts of Emain Matcha, near the pub, right behind the pub. So that is where you can find the Gurgashi raid. I think that is. I think I literally covered every single possible instance, maybe in Mabby. I mean, there's other factors to consider about dungeons and all that stuff. Like, it's not just not just dungeoning, like entering one item. There's also more difficulties that branch off, and it's hard for me to show you guys because I don't have any passes. But if you guys feed like those hot spring monkeys, where is it? Yeah, if you guys feed those hot spring monkeys, they might have a chance of giving you a random dungeon pass box. And what these random dungeon pass boxes, they give you a random dungeon pass of basic, advanced, all that stuff, and then you drop it on the altar, and it's actually a harder difficulty of the dungeon versus just dropping like a gold coin or something random. So that is one thing to keep in mind, is that it doesn't stop there. Each dungeon actually branches off into multiple difficulties, so there's just like a variety of different enemies and mobs and stuff that you can encounter. And to show you guys a little like brief sample of it, it's like if I were to click on my collection journal, go to transformation, not all of these of course, but most of these, minus the NPCs. Let me see, just check off NPCs. These are like literally all the possible mobs and enemies that you can fight and kill and collect even and transform into in Mabinogi. These are all the different enemies that you'll be able to find. Yeah. So that's one thing to keep in mind. This game has like a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Alright. Hopefully that wasn't like too painful to watch. I know it was like so much information to absorb. Easier thing to do is just click on the link to the right or to the left in the beginning of where you guys wanted to go to, and hopefully that helped you guys out with the dungeons, missions, raids, where they are, how to do them, and stuff. Later on, I'm going to try to do a playlist of actually doing the dungeons, let's plays, I guess. But not today, because you know what, I just kind of like, I'm about to lose my voice talking here. Okay. Anyways, thanks you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe to my videos and channels. Feel free to leave any comments if I forgot anything. I know I didn't mention certain dungeons like Siren's Dungeons or Siren's Dungeon. I did not mention Pika Abyss. Yes, Pika Abyss is the second Abyss dungeon that I forgot to mention. But now I just mentioned it right now, so I guess I didn't forget to mention it. Yeah, I guess I didn't forget to mention it because I just said it right now. Woohoo! And there's probably others that I can't think of right now, but if I forgot to mention anything, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Help each other out. Help the community out. Alright. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next week. Cheerios!